You said a year ago that you were an ordinary person, nothing special. You were a wife to a politician and a mother. Did you ever imagine you would end up in the position you're in today?
For sure, I couldn't even imagine I will be a political leader. Of course not. I just wanted to be a teacher of English for small children. I, always like teaching. But as people say in Belarus, if you want to make the God laugh, tell him about your plans. So what has happened to me? Yeah.
When you decided to step in for your husband, what was going through in your mind? Did you believe at that point that you had the power to win this election, or was it more of a statement?
No, at that very moment when I decided to step in for him, I felt only love to him. I didn't even look forward. I didn't even think about what will be the consequences of this action, because I wanted to support him. I wanted to show him that what he is doing is important for me, for my children, and that was real reason for why I did this. But so, it became my fate. I took this responsibility on myself, and I just couldn't, stop it.
What went through your mind in August when you realised that you did have the majority of the vote? Well, we'll get on to what happened after that. But at that moment when you realised, oh my goodness, we've done it, was it elation? Was it joy? Or was it also a bit of fear?
You know, at that very moment, just you have to understand that when we understood that the majority of votes have been given to me, though they were destroyed afterwards, a huge violation happened in Belarus, in the streets of Belarusian cities. And I couldn't feel any joy, I couldn't feel any happiness because of this, because we understood that people are being beaten by police on the streets just because they went out to support their voices, to say they know more against falsification. So I just was horrified with the level of brutality towards people.
The Belarusian people have shown extreme resilience to violence and intimidation. What's driving that protest? What is it about the Belarusian people that makes them go out knowing full well the violence that they may face every time they protest in the streets?
You know, in Belarus, we have so-called revolution of dignity because our people woke up at last, because we have been sleeping for 26 years. We have been leading a person who is dictator. He had a huge power, and nobody never asked people's opinion. We were nobody to this government. And maybe a year or a year and a half ago, people started to understand that they can't bear this anymore. They have to be strong. They have to, they want to be called people, not just, property of this government. We are nation, and we have right to choose. We have right to stand. We have right to say what we want to say. And but in our case, we have to fight for these rights, and we will. We don't want to be humiliated anymore. We want to be important to our country, to participate in decisions of our country.
What do you think is keeping Lukashenko in power at the moment?
Only violence, nothing else. Only violence. It's a pity that couple thousand of people with guns can terrorize the whole nation, 9 million people. It's awful, and they terrify people in jails, and of course it influences people's minds. They are frightened, but no guns, no violence and tortures can change people's mind. They want the changes. They want to live in safe and happy country. They will not allow Lukashenko to be their leader anymore, though they need sacrifice something.
So, what do you think needs to shift in Belarus to remove him from power? If he has control of the police and the military, and as you said, small amount of people with guns terrorizing the rest of the population, what needs to change?
At the moment, we have to put pressure on the regime. So what we are doing now, and on the other hand, we have to knock to the people who are in police. We are trying to explain them that he's criminal, and this government wants you to be criminals as well. But it's up to you to decide if you want your hands to be in blood or not. So we are just appealing to their minds, to their kindness. I don't know. We are explaining that there is no need to do what you are forced to do. You can be with people. You have right not to beat people, even if you go to this criminal order. And we know that the majority of people who are working in police, who are beside Lukashenko, they don't want him to rule as well. But this feeling of fear, money, reason, of course, and of course it influenced them a lot. They are even more prisoners than usual people. They're even more prisoners of this regime, of this dictatorship than people.
There is a Belarusian People's Congress that is due to sit on February the 11th. The president has made some sort of commitment of giving up some of his powers. Do you think he really will make any concessions to his own powers, or is this just grandstanding? Is it just for show?
It's just for show, because he, with the help of this Congress, he want to legitimize himself. The same as he made this secret inauguration when nobody was invited, because he knew that people will not accept him. So he invited the closest people and inaugurate himself. And this is the same. He invited maybe the most loyal people to him, or some of them, I'm sure, they also came because of fear. And he's trying to show others, look, I'm president and I have right to collect this gathering, though people don't pay attention to this. Nobody knows what's going on there. And if they call this gathering national, Belarusian national, so we know that people there are, they can't make decisions for the whole nation.
You spoke to our Foreign Minister, Dominic Raab. He has said that the UK stands with the Belarusian people and calls on Lukashenko's regime to end its repression of those supporting change. Do you think the UK is doing enough?
First of all, I understood that Dominic Raab is well informed about the situation in Belarus, and the UK didn't recognize legitimacy of Lukashenko, and the UK is a powerful country, and this step was important for Belarusian people to understand that such democratic country as the UK is supporting our strive for changes, strive for building new democratic country. But of course, the UK and other European countries have done a lot towards Belarus, but it wasn't enough, I think. I'm sure that the UK separately and on the international level could have been done much, much more. This let's take 3 packages of sanctions. Only 100 people for 3 packages have been sanctions have been imposed on only 100 people for such atrocities, for such violence. From Belarus, it seemed like Europe shows solidarity. Europe wants to help us, but it's so slowly. It's not timely. and now we see that it became even slower when this wonderful picture of beautiful demonstrations disappeared. We get lost in other news. But this is our Belarusian pain, and we want that other countries feel our pain. And the United Kingdom, of course, can be champion here in Belarusian question.
What would you like the UK to do? It seems to me that everyone is telling you the right things, because I know you've been meeting with many leaders from across Europe, across the Western democracies, who are all giving you their support. But it seems to me that they're giving you a lot of words, but maybe not enough actions. So what actions would you like to see?
Yes, as a matter of fact, I agree with you that it seems that Europe, want to close the issue, but not to solve the problem. And Belarusians feel a little disappointed now, but the UK, together with the other countries, first of all, can help Belarusian civil society at the moment, like journalists or human rights defenders, the people who are on the ground trying to fight. And the United Kingdom can be, for example, champion in consolidating position of different forces like USA, EU, UK, OSCE, United Nations, and to be like together all the powers and help Belarusians in their fight. And what is also one of the important aspects in our fight now is absence of law in Belarus, and we are trying to seek this law in other countries. So international investigation of crimes in Belarus, in crimes against humanity, against people, is important now, and the United Kingdom can start this process.
I know that you've been keeping a very close eye, of course, on all the protests that have been going on in your home country of Belarus. And I know that you were particularly moved, as many people were, of course, by one protester who was so savagely beaten that lost his life. Have you ever thought about asking your supporters perhaps not to put themselves in harm's way by going out in the streets and protesting, knowing full well the violence that they risk facing?
First of all, I don't have right to say people do this or do not do that, because it's people's decision. It has to be people's decision. This is the base of democratic. People take responsibility for their words, for their decisions, for their movements. And I'm sure if I said so, that please don't go out, people would feel betrayed by me, because it's their wish. They want changes the same as I do, and they wouldn't understand these words now.
We know that Vladimir Putin's been a supporter of the regime, the Lukashenko regime in Belarus. When you see the protests that are happening across Russia, is there a feeling of hope for that, in a sense, to create a snowball effect that will help your cause as well in Belarus?
Demonstrations usually happen in countries where people don't have other ways to show that they not agree with something or they are against of something. The situations in Belarus and Russia, they are similar only because of the demonstrations. But the reasons for these demonstrations are absolutely different, because we are fighting against dictatorship. We are fighting for organizing new elections. And in Russia, they are fighting for supporting just one person. And maybe Russians have been inspired by Belarusian people, by their wish for changes, but the situation is different. And I don't know how the situation with Russian demonstrations can influence Belarus, because it's Belarusians' decisions. It's I just don't know how to explain, but we are separate countries, and it's we can't influence each other. We can only support each other. And during our demonstrations, big demonstrations, and now Russians are supporting us the same as we are supporting them, because if there is no law in country, if you can't fight for your rights differently in other way without demonstrations, so we have to use this opportunity. We have to use our right to go for peaceful demonstration, the same as in Russia.
Finally, you left Belarus shortly after the elections for fear of your personal safety and that of your family. Do you feel safe now?
I'd say so. Of course, I don't really know how long hands Belarusians power have, but I'd say yes. I feel safe here. I hope so. Don't frighten me.
No, not at all. I'm glad to hear that you do feel safe. And I know, last question, I promise. Looking to the future, you are in a path now. You've got support from plenty of Western leaders and leaders from other democracies. You've said you want to see a little bit more action. The people on the ground in Belarus are doing their part and continuing the pressure on the regime by continuing to protest. What's the future? How can you see this problem solving itself?
I'm sure that thanks to pressure inside the country and outside the country, this regime will not see way out, only to start the negotiations with people. And during these negotiations, all the politician prisoners will be released, and we will try to settle the date of new elections, and people will hear the programs of new candidates, and step by step we will come to this election, and we will, and together with all the Belarusian people, we will restore our poor country. Belarusian people understand that this will be tough time, because the economic level is very low, and it will be difficult. But Belarusians want this change so much that they are ready to suffer economically for a while, knowing that we are building new fantastic country together, where they are important, where they are respected, where their rights are followed.
Svetlana Tikhanovskaya, thank you so much for your time.
Thank you.